Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
New on the Nightbeat, a Tejano singer will spend the next 6 years of his life behind bars. That decision coming down a few hours ago after Jesse Farias was found guilty of sexually assaulting a child Friday night.
Farias was arrested and charged back in 2021 after a female relative accused him of touching her repeatedly and inappropriately over a years-long stretch starting when she was 16. The trial lasted less than a week and wrapped up yesterday, one day after Farias himself testified he never touched the girl. Farias was denied probation and will be required to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life.
3 people, including a child, are dead tonight, and 3 more fighting for their lives in the hospital after an early morning house fire. It all happened on Winding Oak near Loop 1604 over on the city's north side around 3 o'clock this morning. Take a look. More than 28 fire trucks responding to that home. 6 people were found upstairs and pulled out, but it was already too late for one of them. The other 5 taken to the hospital, where 2 more were pronounced dead. One neighbor at the scene says she is struggling to come to terms with what happened on her street.
Sad that somebody's lost their lives, and this is very devastating. And that they're just good people. It's hard to understand how this happened and we hope they make it through it.
San Antonio fire officials combing through what was left of the home for several hours this morning, even using canine units to try to piece together what started that fire. Right now, there's no word on the fire's origin, but officials did say there's no reason right now to believe that it was started on purpose. Fire officials also say they have not found any smoke detectors inside that home. The city of San Antonio and San Antonio Fire Department remind people that they do have a partnership to give residents free fire alarm systems installed. Just call the United Way helpline at 211 to find out more about the potentially life-saving initiative.
San Antonio firefighters battled another fire for hours this afternoon. A brush fire on Floyd Curl near the medical center required the attention of more than a dozen units for about 5 hours today. Fire officials say at one point the fire had burned through about 20 acres of brush. Thankfully, no businesses or homes were threatened by the flames. Right now, there's still no word on what could have started that fire. And San Antonio Fire is investigating another blaze tonight at the Gardenwood Apartments in the northwest side. That fire sparked around 7:30 tonight, but was out 20 minutes after crews arrived. Officials say it started on a balcony and then spread to the apartment's attic. Thankfully, no one was hurt, and officials are still investigating what caused it.
San Antonio police searching for a suspect who held a 13-year-old boy at knife point during an early morning armed robbery. Police say that teen woke up in his South Hamilton home to someone standing over him with a knife in one hand and the boy's gaming system in the other. That boy fought the suspect off but was cut in the process. That boy refusing medical attention at the scene, and police have released no suspect information at this point.
A man is dead after San Antonio police say he was hit by a car while laying down on the road. It happened last night on North Zarzamora near Culebra. Police say the man was laying down in the street. He was laying down in the left lane when he was hit. The driver stopped to help the man, but when EMS got there, they pronounced him dead. The victim's identity hasn't been released, and the driver is not facing charges at this time. Well, for the first time, the city of New Braunfels is taking steps to develop its own bus system.
Yeah, now that the population up there is booming, it's large enough that they need their own transit system. The night team's Camelia Juarez shows us some possible bus routes.
Definitely a lot of people. I ain't never got no room at the river no more.
It's no secret, more people are living in New Braunfels. Over the last decade, the city has an extra 100,000 people living there. That's according to recent census data. The city has outgrown its current partnership with the Alamo Regional Transit, an on-demand service that requires 24-hour notice. Now City Council is looking at steps for its own bus system.
Like the bigger cities have them, San Antonio, Laredo, and I think we're getting to that point where we have that many people that we could use a transportation system.
Head of New Braunfels Transportation, Gary Ford, says the New Braunfels Transit Study published last year shed light on some possible bus routes. It recommended a route on Walnut Avenue, Landis Street, San Antonio Street, to name a few.
Taking it, kind of to the next step and kind of digging a little bit deeper on what the actual costs are updating the demographics and ridership information.
But how are we going to pay for a bus system? Ford says a combination of federal and local dollars.
Been designated as a small urban area, which then we're eligible for federal transit funds directly. So we're currently evaluating, what that means to New Braunfels.
New Braunfels. You can take a look at the New Braunfels transit study on our website. For now, Ford says he will be bringing more information to City Council next month, but we likely won't see a city bus in New Braunfels until 2025 at the earliest. Camalia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
All right, switching gears now to a look outside with live cam tonight. Pretty quiet here in San Antonio. Temperatures still in the mid-90s, 94 you can see there on the bottom of your screen. It was a hot day, and while it wasn't for everybody, we actually did manage to find a few isolated showers, mainly to the north and west of town, across portions of the hill country. Now that the sun has gone down, we've lost that daytime heat. Whatever's left out there on the radar, especially southwest of Rock Springs and a little shower near Medina, that all is fizzling out and weakening. That will continue to be the trend through the overnight hours. But of course, this follows what was another triple-digit day. We actually broke the record of 103 that was set back in 2018. We climbed to 104, and we are not finished with the triple-digit heat. In fact, that's going to continue into the back half of the weekend and even more so into next week. But you can see on that top headline there, we're also not finished with a small rain chance. A few more storms not off the table as we head into your Sunday afternoon. And yeah, as we head into next week, we'll also monitor for another plume of some Saharan dust. So we'll get you a full look at your futurecast, what the radar could look like tomorrow, coming up in just a few.
All right, thanks, Mia. Well, today was the 15th day in a row San Antonio residents have faced triple-digit heat. If you bought plants before the summer started and they've already started to wilt, well, you're not alone. And even the plants deemed to be drought-resistant are struggling to survive in the San Antonio heat. The Night Team's Avery Everett tells us why even the most resilient plants are struggling this summer.
I'll just enjoy my single bloom for the meantime until it puts on another round.
In a garden like Haley Giambalvo's, you might expect to see more flowers growing than just this one.
Once we got into several weeks 100-degree temperatures, things just really kind of shut down a little bit in terms of blooming.
Her garden is full of drought-resistant plants.
I've been trying to just add more of those.
But high heat across San Antonio is hindering any growth.
So because we haven't had any rain recently, there's no flowers on it.
Even with a watering schedule out at Rainbow Gardens, drought-resistant plants are struggling this summer.
It's been exceptionally hot. We've had almost no rain this summer, and so it's really challenging for these plants to survive without irrigation.
But Brandon Kirby says a bloom doesn't define a plant's success.
You kind of have to reframe what's beautiful.
And over time, he says more of these plants could actually help change the city's water usage.
We can and do have water issues here in San Antonio, and drought-tolerant plants can help mitigate some of that damage that the development has done and the lack of rain, the drought that we've experienced the last couple of years.
That's the goal of Giambalvo's garden.
You have to have that patience.
She's keeping her hopes high.
We're gonna bounce back the next time we get a good rain.
And holding on, knowing these plants can push past San Antonio's high heat.
So if you go and buy a drought-resistant plant from the store and you expect it to be drought-resistant right off the shelf, gardeners here tell us that it takes about a full year of watering to really get these plants to truly become resistant to high temperatures. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
Still to come on the Nightbeat, postpartum mothers and their high-risk babies are getting a brand new hospital here in San Antonio. Coming up, the first look at the new one-stop shop and all the services they'll be offering. Plus, getting back on their feet, a seafood restaurant still recovering from a fire last month got a low score on their latest health inspection as well. What kind of improvements the manager says they're now making behind their kitchen door.
Plus, reaching the goal, how it just got easier for a local charity to help those that need it the most. Our KSAT Community Help Project men with a phone bank this week to find donations for medical equipment. And this morning, They met their goal with an in-person equipment drive. Project Men invited people from all over the area to donate their new or used medical equipment to help people in San Antonio that desperately need it. Wheelchairs and home hospital beds were just some of the items donated today. The next step is for Project Men to refurbish the equipment so that lives can be transformed for the better.
A lot of people have equipment that from an injury that they had and it's sitting in their garage and don't know what to do with it. We can get it to somebody that desperately needs it.
Now, if you didn't get a chance to donate today, Project Men's doors are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. They're located on Wurzbach Road near Ingram Park Mall.
Switching gears, millions of Americans are facing extreme weather yet again this weekend.
Yeah, from excessive heat warnings and advisories in the west to heavy rains and flooding in the northeast. ABC's Phil Lipoff reports on the wicked weather.
More than 80 million Americans across 13 states are under heat alerts this weekend. Heat advisories and excessive heat warnings stretching from California to Florida. Montana, the latest state to be added to those alerts. Phoenix, Arizona, now in its 23rd consecutive day at or above 110 degrees. In Death Valley, the extreme temperatures are making it unsafe for emergency rescue crews.
It can be too hot for the emergency air ambulance helicopters to fly because warm air is thinner. If we get a call that is for a missing person, we will not do a search on foot for those people until it cools down below 120 degrees.
El Paso, Texas, now seeing temperatures at or above 100 degrees for 36 straight days, reaching a daily record of 107 on Friday. In Miami, Florida, the heat index has been 100 degrees or greater for a record-smashing 42 consecutive days. The severe heat also taking a toll on farming in Mississippi.
The nighttime temperature on tomatoes needs to be in the 70s, which we're not getting right now, so that will hurt our yields, later on.
Meantime, parts of the country are being hit with heavy rain. In Deerfield, Massachusetts, a portion of this road collapsed due to flooding. And in Boston, Friday night's game at Fenway Park was postponed while many fans sought shelter from the deluge. One man, as you see, taking the opportunity to dance in the rain. In Atlanta, Georgia, torrential rain made for difficult driving conditions. The cars in this parking lot submerged. Phil Lipoff, ABC News, New York.
So much rain in one spot, we can't buy a drop here. It's nice to see other people dealing with the heat. I mean,
there's a small chance,
here,
though.
But it's
There's a small chance, right?
Yeah, it could always be worse, yes. And we do have another chance to find a couple of showers and storms out there as we head into your Sunday afternoon. We need to manage expectations. It's not going to be for everybody, unfortunately, but at least it is a chance. Something else to talk about when it comes to the rainfall department. And speaking of which, we were pretty dry here in San Antonio this evening, but across portions of the Hill Country and closer to the Austin area, we did manage to find a few isolated showers. Some of that activity now weakening due to the loss of daytime heat through Bandera County. Another little shower there near Medina, but that is coming to an end. And just some light activity that continues to fizzle out, especially across the southern Edwards Plateau there near Rock Springs and even stretching over to northern Val Verde County. Now, looking ahead to your Sunday, again, coverage is expected to be pretty isolated into the afternoon hours. We are going to be dry throughout the first half of the day, but in between about 2 to 7 to 8 p.m., that's going to be our window to find about a 30% potential for some additional showers and a couple of rumbles of thunder. And this is the reason why. We've been talking about that heat high pressure system. That's why we've had multiple consecutive triple-digit days in the forecast. That has moved farther west. It's not completely going away, which is why it's still going to be hot tomorrow and into next week, but it has allowed for just enough space to see a weak front stall over central Texas. That even stretches farther east. Some severe weather and the more scattered rain just off to our east, closer to the New Orleans area and into southern Louisiana. Again, for us here in San Antonio, here's the latest version of your futurecast depicting what the radar could look like tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine and dry conditions conditions through Sunday morning, but as we put that daytime heat to work, combined with the lift from that boundary and all of the moisture in place, notice by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we start to see some cloud cover build back in, a few isolated showers possible, and maybe even a few healthier downpours by 3, 4, 5 o'clock. This activity generally moving farther off to the south as we head into your Sunday evening. And then like today, after the sun goes down, we lose that daytime heat and the remaining activity does look to fizzle out. So we'll cross our fingers and see what we can find, because it is no secret that we could definitely use the rain. Here's the latest look at our drought monitor that was released Thursday morning. The biggest thing that stands out is the expansion of the extreme to even exceptional drought, especially across the hill country for places like Bernie and Kerrville. And now that even dips down into the northern half of Bexar County. So we'll see what we can find out there tomorrow. All right, temperature wise, 95 right now. So yes, it is still hot out there this 10 p.m. hour. We'll start off our Sunday in the upper 70s. Again, plenty of sunshine throughout the first half of the day. By lunchtime, temperatures are already in the mid 90s, and then into the afternoon, we've got that forecast high around 102 degrees. So especially for those that don't tap into the rain cooled air, it is still going to be hot, low triple digits, and that continues even into next week as well. All right, we were talking about the potential for some Saharan dust. For what we've seen so far, it's been pretty light concentrations, but notice by Monday we see another plume filter across the Gulf of Mexico, and by late Tuesday and into Wednesday, that's when some of that could work into the San Antonio area and the state of Texas. So still some time to monitor that. We of course will continue to do so. A 10% chance for a stray shower Monday afternoon, and then pretty much after that throughout the remainder of the week, the heat is once again going to be the big story.
All right, thanks for that good news of possible rain.
Yes.
Thanks, Mia.
Willie Nelson's song "On the Road Again" comes to mind when I think about Larry, because he's about ready to hit the road again and rack up some more air miles and points at the hotel.
And you know what? All I keep thinking about, Cowboys Camp, Oxnard, California, that it's going to be much cooler out there than here in San Antonio. Coming up, the Cowboys getting ready to report for training camp. We got some key dates for you. Plus, Aaron Rodgers is apparently more easygoing now that he's a member of the New York Jets. Coming up.
Yeah, a little different for sure. Everything's different. 19 years in, been a lot of training camps. All of them been at 1265 Lombardi, but showing up to one Jets drive was a little bit different. Obviously, there was a lot more cameras with Hard Knocks being here.
Aaron Rodgers is still getting used to life as a member of the New York Jets in Big Board Sports.
Football coverage brought to you by Davis Law Firm.
The Dallas Cowboys are enjoying their final weekend off before they must report to Oxnard, California for training camp. The boys are coming off back-to-back 12-5 seasons, both under head coach Mike McCarthy, who's entering his fourth campaign as a Cowboys field boss. Now, 2 seasons ago, Dallas lost to the Niners in the wild card round. Last season, they beat the Bucs 31-14 in wild card play, and then lost at the Niners in the divisional round 19-12. The boys have Super Bowl expectations as usual, and it would certainly be a disappointment if the team couldn't at least reach the NFC Championship for the first time since the 1995 season. So the Cowboys arrived to Oxnard Monday afternoon. Tuesday will be the State of the Cowboys address with Jerry and Stephen Jones and Coach McCarthy. Wednesday is their first practice. Saturday, the opening ceremony. Then on Sunday, Jerry Jones will join us on Instant Replay. And the Houston Texans are getting ready to start their first training camp under first-year head coach DeMeco Ryans. Houston is coming off 3 horrible seasons at 4-12, 4-13, and 3-13-1 last season. They hired defensive-minded Ryans with the hope of turning the franchise into a winner. Back in April, they drafted quarterback C.J. Stroud 2nd overall, and then picked up Bama linebacker Will Anderson Jr. with the 3rd overall selection. So the Texans are feeling pretty good about their future. And here are some key dates for the Texans. Players report on Tuesday. Wednesday is their first practice. Friday's practice session is open to fans. Then later in August, they'll hold joint practices with the Dolphins, followed by practices with the Saints the week after. The New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns are the first 2 clubs with their entire teams on site for training camp. Rookies from 9 other teams reported this week as well. But the key figure for the Jets is quarterback Aaron Rodgers. After 18 seasons in Green Bay, the Packers traded him to Gotham City back in April. Rodgers is 39 years old, a Super Bowl champion, and a 10-time Pro Bowler. And from the sounds of it, the Jets are getting a kinder and gentler Aaron Rodgers.
It's always important to have patience in shorts and helmets, have patience the first few days of camp. Sometimes the patients can wear thin if it's repeat mistakes, but we're just building this thing right now. We want to build it the right way. And yeah, I would say maybe earlier in my career I was a little more easily angered, and I feel like I'm a little less triggered as I've gotten older.
Easily angered. You know, it's good to hear, right? He's a little more calm these days. The Jets and Browns will face off in the NFL Hall of Fame game on August 3rd in Canton, Ohio. Time to drive for show and putt for dough at the Open, a.k.a. the British Open at Royal Liverpool. John Rahm made a big charge today, par 4, 11th hole. He hits a 360-yard drive that ends up all the way down by the green, and he would go on to birdie from there. He carded a 8 under 63 to move up 36 spots, the third at 8 under par after 3 rounds. And American Brian Harman is still sitting atop the leaderboard. Today he shot a 2 under 69 to reach 12 under par after 54 holes. This after rounds of 67 and 65.
Yeah, just trying to stay gritty out there. I knew it was going to be tough at some point, and really proud of the way that I hung in there and made some really good swings on the back nine.
Where are you right now heading into this final round?
I feel fine. I'm going to try to get something good to eat, get some good sleep, and get after it tomorrow.
Sounds like a great plan, right? Harman is 18 holes away from his first major. He leads the Open by 5 shots at 12 under par. Cameron Young is second, with Rahm sitting third. And 5 players are tied for fourth, including Jason Day and Victor Hovland. And San Antonio FC taking on Miami FC later in sports.
We will look forward to that, Larry. Thank you.
All right, still to come on the Nightbeat, a massive win for moms. KSAT has the first look a new hospital that will be one-stop shop for mothers and their babies. That's coming up next.
Plus, a local restaurant looking forward to their next health inspection while they recover from fire damage and a low score. What their manager said they're doing to improve behind their kitchen door. A seafood restaurant is trying to get back on its feet after a fire last month and a low score on their recent health inspection. The manager told me this week they've made some big improvements behind their kitchen door.
A grease fire nearly destroyed the J. Anthony's Seafood Cafe in the 7200 block of Northwest Loop 410 last month. The kitchen area is sustaining significant damage, forcing them to shut down for repairs. The fire happened just weeks after the business earned a 76 on their May health inspection. They were cited for not following proper cooling procedures, including food in a walk-in cooler that was 170 degrees. Raw fish and octopus were also above the recommended 41 degrees, which was a repeat violation. There was mold-like buildup on the soda fountain ice dispenser and nozzles. No one washed their hands. One worker did change gloves, but without washing. I stopped by this week to see how they're doing after the fire and the corrections they've made. Manager Johnny Cruz pointed out several improvements.
We already put all the new ceiling tiles, the new lighting, just basic cleaning like up there.
He's hoping to do better on their next inspection, which he looks forward to.
It's a good thing, yes, because it keeps us on our toes.
Taco Nando, located in the 2800 block of Nogalitos, got a 72 on their May inspection. The business cited for leaving chorizo sitting at room temperature for too long. Pork chops were stored in a cooler that was too warm. Food containers, racks, and shelves all needed to be thoroughly cleaned to remove grease buildup. A worker dropped gloves, picked them up, then handled cooked tortillas with bare hands. There was a small roach in a sink, and several areas needed to be cleaned. A re-inspection was ordered. This week, the owner said he's made the corrections. DeMassey Mediterranean Buffet in the 100 block of Southwest Loop 410 comes in with a 78. The buffet cold hold was too warm. The buffet for the pizza wasn't hot enough. There was black mold-like buildup in the soda machine ice dispenser and soda fountain. Several sinks were not able to produce hot water. The kitchen area was in need of a thorough cleaning. They were re-inspected. Eva's Cafe Food Service in the 200 block of West Mitchell got an 80. A bag of vegetables had to be thrown out because of mold. Buckets of diced potatoes were sitting on the floor. The inside of the ice machine had rust-like residue, and an employee was seen making tacos with their bare hands. A re-inspection was ordered. For Behind the Kitchen Door, Tim Gerber, KSAT 12 News.
The deadline to reach a new contract between UPS and its workers is days away, and a potential strike feels closer than ever. Nearly 350,000 workers are demanding safety improvements and better pay, particularly for part-time workers. The union and UPS says they will resume contract talks next week, but if an agreement is not met before July 31st, the unionized workers will go on strike.
We do not get a deal. UPS has chose to strike themselves, and we will withhold our labor July 31st at 12:01 a.m. But if we get a tentative agreement subject to ratification and we're going to recommend it, then we will not withhold our labor.
The last UPS strike crippled a much different delivery landscape back in 1997 when 185,000 workers walked off the job.
Special counsel Jack Smith's team has made contact with Georgia's governor as part of the investigation of former President Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the 2020 election. President Trump had pressured, and then failed to get Brian Kemp to reverse Georgia's election results after he had lost to President Biden. Trump then backed Kemp's Republican challenger in last year's gubernatorial primary. The former president announced earlier this week that Jack Smith told him he is the target of the criminal probe.
A one-stop shop for postpartum mothers with high-risk babies. That is the goal of University Health's brand new Women's and Children's Hospital. And KSAT got the first look. The doors won't open for patients until late August, but Courtney Friedman got to see how many services will be available in one place.
Feeding NICU babies and high-risk infants awaiting surgery is a complicated task.
We provide nutrition assessments to the babies at bedside.
Rachel Jacob is one of 4 University Hospital dietitians that will work here at a center called A Mother's Place at the brand new Women's and Children's Hospital opening next month.
We're going to be a centralized milk storage and prep space, along with being able to connect those moms with the services for them to be successful.
Moms can pump here or just drop off milk at the window, which will then be delivered to their babies with an inventory system allowing rare transparency.
Moms know how much they're dropping off, how much is being utilized in the hospital, and then how much is going to be coming home with them.
And for the babies with special dietary needs, their milk heads here, a milk lab where measured amounts of formula are added to the breast milk.
The moms originally come to these consultation rooms to talk about lactation, breast milk, and pumping, but because this is a one-stop shop, they also get to have conversations about diet and even mental health.
We all hear about postpartum depression and the anxiety that might present itself after delivery, especially for our NICU moms.
Music to Lisa Brunsvold's ears. She's the interim CEO of the San Antonio Area Foundation, which donated $1 million for A Mother's Place.
University Health serves as the center of healthcare for all of our community, but also for those that can't afford private healthcare or specialists.
She says one-of-a-kind care like this should be available to everyone.
Just expanding that access to those individuals that come from zip codes that are in the most need.
Ensuring success for all these little fighters and their families. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Still to come on the Night Beat, it seems like disruptions are the norm at airports everywhere this summer. Why an international agency is calling those delays unacceptable. Next.